Hey, everybody, welcome back. We are going to talk in this module about leaning into it. Leaning into it is the idea that when you're trying to discover what you want, you're trying to make some changes. Sometimes it's overwhelming to say, go from nothing to, I want to be a doctor and I got to be a doctor and I got to get into med school, and you make these big life changes. And then you later on figure out that's not quite what you wanted to do as being a doctor. So there's a simple way of doing things. It's called leaning into it, where you kind of just start getting into what you think you want to do, start making some changes, start doing something new without making a commitment that this is going to be it for the rest of my life. Because I know sometimes psychologically that puts some stress on us, like, oh my God, I'm making a huge decision here. I'm going to change careers, or, I'm going to eat different, or everything's changing. And that's not really how it's supposed to be, because Jack Canfield, one of our mentors, has said that most of life is on the job training anyway. We never really have all the answers till you kind of get into it and you start feeling around and seeing what's right and what's wrong and maybe which way you want to change. So we're all going to talk here in a moment, but I wanted to bring up that I was in my job. You've heard this, that I was stuck. I was frustrated. I didn't know what to do. One thing I tried though was like I tried finding different things that just interested me. I've always wanted to play guitar, so for a while I started taking guitar lessons, just playing the guitar, just to see if that was something, some path I might want to go on. Not necessarily being like a rock star, but who knows? I like music. I've also really liked sports. I kind of started getting back in to see if I wanted to be a journalist or doing maybe TV or radio, maybe following some local teams, things like that. So I started exploring those options and seeing what was going on out there. My brother's in computer networking and programming. He's making good money. He seems to really like what he wants. And I'm like, maybe I should be a network engineer. Somebody told me the network engineers are a little dry. Sometimes they're not always most personable in offices. And this guy's like, dude, you'd be a great network engineer because then you'd be relatable and personal. Well, it turns out I hated that. That just wasn't me at all. But I tried. I took a few classes actually with the local community college just to see if this was something that I stuck with. And it wasn't. And so I just went on to the next thing. And I just kind of kept trying. I didn't have to quit my job. I didn't have to declare to the world that I was making this big change. It's just like I just went out and tried to do different things. What happened for me then is I was reading self-development books. I always like to get that motivation and things from them. And I just kind of learned, it was like, wow, this information is so good. I never learned this stuff before. And I talked to my friends about it, and they're like, I don't know what that is either. And so I kind of started realizing like most people don't know how to take control of their life. And so I started leaning into maybe I could be a coach. I had no idea at the time. And I'm like, maybe I could be a coach. So I started reading more about coaching and how to apply things. And that led me to here. Now I'm coaching. I got a great team here involved. But it was a series of things that went on for, I don't know, 6 months to a year where I was just trying little things here and there. So leaning into it is a great way to start exploring a change you're interested in without having to make a lifelong commitment, or it has to be successful, or it has to have any expectations. It's just a good way to get out there and try something new. So I know I can see Chris and Joanna and Joyce are all smiling and ready for something to say here. So you want to open it up to the gallery, Chris? Maybe we could talk about any experiences you guys have had that's helped you on your way of leaning into it or trying something new.
So I'll jump.
Joyce, you go first. I picked Joyce.
I'll lean into it. I'll lean into the conversation. So for me, when I think lean in, a lot of times we are always thinking, well, I have to have everything all lined up. I can't do it until they're always waiting for that perfect moment of for the stars to align, or have all your ducks in a row, or however you want to say it. And really, who wants a bunch of ducks anyway? So I say, like,
Chris
just
does.
take that. Chris wants ducks. So I see, like, just take that first step. You don't have to know all of the how it's going to happen. If you know the what, you can take that first step and then see how that feels. Try that on. And then, much to like what you were saying is, that I tried this on, it didn't fit. I tried this on, it didn't fit. Then I found coaching and it fit, right? So you take that first step towards whatever it is that you think you might be interested in. You'd be surprised how sometimes when you just take that first step, how the momentum starts to build up and other things show up. For me, when I decided to step out of corporate America and do my own thing, I kind of tried on again the coaching and the personal development and the leadership development, and using some of my HR skills. And just from taking that step forward, I posted on Facebook to some friends and family, hey, this is what I'm doing. I had people reaching out to me saying, I need your help. Can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And by taking that little extra step, and my business actually developed a little bit different than what I had originally intended it to be, but it actually ended up better because I took the first step. So sometimes it's just about leaning in, taking the having the courage to take that first step, to make the declaration, and then letting the momentum build from there.
That's a great choice.
That's me.
Yep, that's great. Do it, Joanna.
So something else that lean in means to me, and I'm a classic conflict avoider. If it's uncomfortable or if I'm not good at it, I steer as clear away as possible. And one of the concepts that we'll be sharing with you about leaning in is it's going towards the thing that's a little bit unfamiliar, and recognizing your 9 environments. One of mine is I really hate to balance my checkbook. I really hate to figure out where my taxes need to go. That is not something I like to do. But avoiding it and leaning away from it, can have some negative consequences. So leaning into something new and unfamiliar, or something that might also be blocking other growth opportunities in your world, is something that's really part of this concept as well. So if you're looking at the areas of your life, whether they're the 7 areas of financial, spiritual, education, contribution, where are you a little weak? Where have you avoided things? And leaning into those ones that might be blocking you or holding you up from growth is another concept to leaning in. It's being brave enough to push in and get something out of the way so that other opportunities can come up for you. Because human nature is for us to avoid the things that are uncomfortable. And I think that's why it's lean in, not jump in. Just a little bit. Because, when you lean, it's like you're leaning over the edge. You're not going to fall, but you're leaning a little bit. It's just testing that water. It's becoming more comfortable in the uncomfortable. So I think that is really the big point to leaning in. It's trying something new, or trying to push yourself just a little bit further in a direction that you want to go or need to go.
Yeah, that's awesome, Joanna. I didn't even think about that from my own perspective, but leaning in doesn't have to be life changes. Like you said, if you're having trouble with money, lean in and read a book, try to learn more about money or investing, or, that's a great point. I appreciate that. That's good. What about you, Chris? I like that pin on you.
Well, thank you.
Nice.
It's my human development pin.
Aww.
Stages of human development. And I think the highest level is having your dog on your lap when you're talking. So you're going to have to introduce this to your dog, since I was watching him lick your arm while you were
Yeah, she's gone. Sorry about that.
The dog's
She's just so soft. She's so damn soft.
I want you to lean in to picking up your dog, and this is my dog. Hello, hello, hello.
That'll be a bonus video.
That'll be a different video. Leaning in.
Easy, Joyce. Not that.
Joyce again is going, oh, what am I doing? We have it recorded for you now, so you can use it for your HR conferences. There we go. Look, I really like the point that Joanna made. Is that it doesn't have to be life-changing to lean into something. We really want to encourage you, just what are you passionate about? Or what is that little whisper that you hear? Like, I always wanted to start this charity, but I don't have time. And that keeps coming up for you. Lean into it. Lean into those ideas that you have, those little whispers that you get. They can be either life-changing, or they can be something as simple as, I want to do better in this area. So I really, really appreciated what Joanna said. And I'll just give you a quick example for me. When I went from stand-up comedy to teaching, that very profitable to go into primary school education, let me tell you. Big money. I was like, I was always interested in teaching. And I said, well, let me take I took the test, the minimum skills test, and I passed. Yay.
Hey, good job.
And then I went into, I was like, oh, you know what? I'll just go. I'll go to this conference where they're hiring teachers, and I'll see what happens. I'll just learn from it. I had 2 job offers when I walked out. I leaned into them. I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to be a teacher. It was as simple as that, as me I'll just learn from the experience of going to this job conference. and seeing what kind of questions they ask and see if it's right for me. And I immediately got 2 job offers. And I'll tell you, the 3 years I spent teaching were some of the best in my life. I really felt that was a real growth opportunity for me. And that also led me to being able to be a professional speaker, because I really know how to put kind of a lesson plan or a corporate trainer together. I really learned that by becoming a teacher. So everything kind of moved in a direction just by me leaning into things that I was passionate about or I was interested in. So whether it's, starting that charity, or getting better at your taxes, or whether it's life-changing, whatever that is, we just encourage you to lean into things. Feel the fear, do it anyway. Feel the fear, do it anyway.
Teaser. Yeah, no, that's great, Chris. I appreciate that. So, one good thing too, we've already gone over the 7 areas of life that Joanna brought up. And like I said, that was a really good point. Go back to that. If you haven't written them down, write them down and just write down different things that maybe you want to make changes in any areas that stick out to you. And then figure out something you can do just a little bit to grow yourself in that realm, whether it's a huge career change that I was faced with, or like Joanna said, you need help balancing your checkbook or taking control of your financials or just learning some new information. I think that's a great place to start.
So Matt, real quick, one thing that I actually just went through this exercise just yesterday, and we took the different areas of your life and thought about, if my life were exactly how I wanted it to be, if it were the best life it could be, what would it look like in each of those areas? And like that kind of helps you to define what, where you need to lean in or how you need to lean in. So if you're not sure where you want to go, write down, just spend some time in each of those areas and think about, if my life were ideal, if I were living the life that I would love, what would my life look like? And just spend a minute or two journaling that down, and what would my life look like? And that might help you to know where to take that first step.
Thank you. That's a great, perfect idea. So guys, get out there, lean into it, do something, take some action. You got to do a little bit of something to figure out what's next. So that's it for Lean Into It. As you can see, just get out there, try something new, call your coach if you have problems, but I think you're really going to enjoy it and see what's out there and what's possible. So thank you for your time. We'll see you in the next module.